Testing. Welcome everybody. Greetings from snowy Chicago. It is coming down here. I think we're really glad that actually we're having this event remotely and by Zoom for that particular reason. I want to welcome everyone. I'm Stephanie Reaver-Chu. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations at Latin School, and we're thrilled that you could be joining us. For us, it's evening, but I know we've got participants from all over, not only all over the country, but all over the world, including Thailand. So it's early morning there. So forgive me if I keep saying evening when I truly mean to be more inclusive of all the geography. I just wanted to share a small housekeeping note. We are having this induction as a webinar, which means our panelists who are our inductees and everyone with speaking events, we can see each other, but we can't see the people who are tuned in, friends, family from around the world. So the way that we'd love to hear from you is in the chat. You should be able to put a note in the chat. It's the little bubble at the bottom of your screen. It works just like texting. If you have it to all panelists and attendees, everybody on the call will see it. And that's how we welcome your cheering for these terrific folks that we're about ready to talk about. So welcome everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Randall Dunn, head of school.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking some time to attend our annual Hall of Fame induction. This year's induction, the first virtual Hall of Fame induction at Latin School of Chicago. And it's wonderful to be able to continue to do it. In the spirit of true Romans, we will forge ahead no matter what. We will have this induction because we want to honor the great tradition of athletics in our school. I want to thank those who have worked hard to put this program together. Thanks to Stephanie and the alumni office, as well as the athletics office, their partnership and work together to make this happen for our school and to continue this really great tradition that we started just a year or so ago. Thank you to Tom and to Sunny for their partnership in reviving this and making it a new tradition that was a whole old tradition at our school. It's fantastic. Athletics and the importance of it in our school continues to lead the way in many ways. Many of you who are on this call know the experience of being in the athletics program, being a Roman, the pride, sense of accomplishment, and the lessons that you have learned that hang with you for life, frankly, through the program here at Latin. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here. Thanks for your support over the years for athletics at our school and ongoing work that's happening there. There are really exciting things going on at school, even as we struggle to figure out how athletics looks this year. It moves, it changes, but the innovation, creativity, and the way in which the folks in the athletics department have pitched in to make sure that their presence and their work is felt has been fantastic. So I'm proud also to just say congratulations to our new inductees that you're about to have a chance to meet, a class and a group of folks who have had an impact on our program. We're proud that you joined the august group of those already inducted. And we know for a fact, that's why you're here this evening, you have made an impact for generations to come. So thank you for being here. Congratulations to the inductees. And I'll move things over to Sunny Lim for the beginning of the program. So thank you all for being here.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. And good evening, everyone, especially to this year's Roman Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. My name is Sunny Lim, and I am the Director of Athletics here at Latin. I'm proud to be here to help celebrate this year's special class of individual and one team. Before I do go on, I do want to recognize the man who started this whole thing, and you guys all know him very well, Tom Bauer. this and future events will be forever remembered because of his love for our school. And as many of you guys know, Tom just lost his mother recently, and I just wanted to share with Tom, and I'm sure everyone else would agree, just to, our thoughts and prayers are with you, Tom, and your family as you go through these difficult times. So please know that you're in our thoughts. I think I saw you on, so glad to see you here. I think we all can agree that this pandemic has been driving all of us crazy, and it's given us a lot of time to really reflect back on our lives. And I'm sure these amazing inductees have learned many lessons that they have been sharing with others. We all know that it goes beyond just the game itself. Like many of you, sports has basically shaped who we are, the friends we choose, the decisions we make, where we go to college. And obviously a lot of it is about that bond that we've made and the connections that we've had with one another. While I look, and I kept on doing a lot of research on each of the inductees and the water polo team that you're gonna hear about later on, it's amazing to see where they come from. They each have a unique high school experience. They all come from different time periods, different places. However, they're all united in a sense of community, that community that I think what makes Latin special. And I know it's been a positive community. I think it's something we all value. And I think it's been a game changer in their lives. And I hope to allow you to experience that from the presentations you'll hear shortly. Today, some of the magic of the high school experience is competing with the modern day life, cell phones, text messaging, and social media. Sometimes that gets lost or in many sense has changed. I would really like to see us hold on to that community feeling as much as possible, especially during these periods here where we are not able to connect, in person. Most of these inductees, as you'll be hearing soon, have played many sports. I'm really proud that so many of them are multi sports, and they enjoy that experience. That exposure is really valuable. They learn from different coaches. They learn from different teammates. They learn from different experiences. Through those exposures, it really gave them, I think, the opportunity to be resilient, tenacious, and really help build their self-esteem and confidence. And those are the same values, the same reasons why we have athletics in our program, and why Tom and myself and all the other members of the athletic department love our job, because we are able to give that to our students. So I mean, it's about the high school experience that is really complete by having those experiences. Their high school experience, has led them to many different places, been able to interact with extraordinary people, and as you hear very soon, their extraordinary lives to where they are right now in their career and their family. I hope you'll enjoy hearing more about each of these guys. So please join me in celebrating their achievements. I know it's going to be a wonderful night. So we're going to start off with our first presenter this evening. It's none other than Mr. Tom Kenwright.
Yeah, I can unmute that. I didn't get a list. I have 3 presentations. Who is first?
Alan.
Alan Ferguson, well done. Well, I'll take full credit there because I coached him in middle school boys basketball, and that's all you need to know. But of course, Alan went on to varsity basketball in high school, water polo and track, and I was also one of the assistant track coaches during his years, although I believe we shared him with water polo. So I actually don't have a ton of track memories with Alan. And the other reason was the other assistant coach was Tommy Moat, and he had been a state champion in Alan's events. But I do later have a basketball story about Alan. But first, I think it's my job to read his accomplishments. 4 years in basketball, MVP twice, 3-time ISL All-Conference player, member of an ISL championship team, all-tournament team at a tournament at Luther South, Chicagoland top 15 rebounder 2 years, top rebounder in Latin history, all-state qualifier in the IHSA slam dunk as a senior, finished top 10 in Class A, and in track, 2 years, the MVP, two-time ISL All-Conference, ISL champ in 4 events, the 100, the 200, the long jump, and the triple jump, ISL track athlete of the year as a senior, IHSA state finals qualifier, 8th place in state long jump and triple jump, and of course, water polo, 3 years. And I do remember he filled that goalie net, and he was especially effective in the shallow end of the pool. But my basketball story about Alan is that the whole time he was with the boys program, I was either the varsity girls coach or the JV girls coach. So often we would be off at a road game when Alan had home games, or we'd be up practicing. But often we'd get home maybe a little earlier, and the boys game maybe was an evening game, and I'd get to see the end of games. And so I know when Alan played, there was a huge rivalry with Morgan Park Academy. And when they went to Morgan Park, the games kind of got rough because it was such a small gym. But it was a game at Latin, and I poked into the what used to be the teacher's lounge, and there's a little window that looks out over the field gym. And Morgan Park was down a point or two. They had the ball for a game-winning shot. And the reason I never forgot this is some of the most memorable games end with a game-winning shot. But what happened was Morgan Park came down, put the shot up. Alan came out of nowhere, reached his arm back like he was serving a volleyball, and blocked that ball. And on the fly, it went from one end of the gym into the wall on the other end of the gym. And it was such an unusual and exciting finish of a game. Latin won. I never forgot it. Congratulations, Alan Ferguson. Oh, one last thing. He did disappoint me 4 or 5 years ago. I'm up for the big game in January at DePaul, and Alan's over assistant coach for Francis Parker. But nonetheless, Alan, congratulations. There he is.
Can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me? How about now? Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Good.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate that. What's funny is I did coach for the other side for a couple years, so it was crazy coming back to the Latin Parker games and seeing you guys on the other side. I am no longer there, but now I'll make it quick. What's funny is I have the hat here, and really with this, it kind of involves teammates, right? Like obviously I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for teammates. There's a couple guys I will shout out real quick. A funny piece of memorabilia, Mr. Cartwright, since you brought up good memories, I still actually have a gym shirt from Latin. This is probably circa 1992, maybe, roughly, from gym. I don't know why it's still in my closet, but I digress. But no, look, it doesn't go without teammates, right? There's got to be someone to pass the ball, whether it's the water polo, basketball. I know track is kind of an individual sport, but there's still got to be coaches. With water polo, it was Coach Nystrom. You're right, senior year was my 1 year that I decided to run track and ended up running in college, and then basketball. So guys like Ryan Allen, Graham Mitchell, I know they didn't want me to shout them out, but I wanted to. They were there. They're the ones passing me the ball, and we still talk about it. So I think the bond between sports and everything from Latin, that's the early 90s, and I talked to Graham, and we still talk about basketball plays. I talked to Ryan. He's the one who gave me my first coaching job as a basketball coach. I coach now. So those guys are just key integral parts where it's 20-something years later and we're still talking about plays. You remember the Morgan Park play? I remember if we still talk to Mark Clement, the throw off the backboard against Parker, and he swears it was a pass, so everyone else in the world thinks it was an air ball. Then I came and finished with a two-hand dunk. So it's just stuff like that I can really talk to you guys. I appreciate all the love in the group chat. Just cool kind of being able to talk about this, the bond with these guys that I still talk to this day. Lexi was a huge guy when he came to us. Eric Davis, a little older than me, but just again, those guys, just really being teammates. If it wasn't for them, obviously I wouldn't even be here. So that's it for me. Like I said, I do appreciate I've got the hat. I do have the Latin shirt, probably from 1992, 1993. Mr. Bauer, who I believe was the soccer coach when I was there. Obviously, Coach Nystrom was the water polo. And Goshen was actually, Robert Goshen was our basketball coach. And we still to this day talk about that guy and just how he just kind of molded me to be, you know, to play at college and play a little bit after college. So I know it took over a couple minutes, but that's it. Really, thank you guys. So nice to see a lot of faces from Latin, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. Mr. Cartwright, pleasure to seeing you again. Coach Nystrom, I still call you Coach. Vandermeulen, I know I've talked to you over the years. I never got the pleasure of being coached by you, but was able to at least talk with you over the years, you know, the times when you were at Latin and I was down the road a little bit. But yes, really incredibly humbled. I'll leave it at that and just thank you really, really from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it, guys.
Hi, I guess I'm up. I get the pleasure of inducting Michelle Scott into the Hall of Fame. So I've been around, fortunate enough to be around Latin for all these years. And I remember Michelle from when she did do track and when she was an exceptional athlete in field hockey. She's a true Iron Roman in that she was a varsity athlete, I believe, for all 4 years in basketball, field hockey, and track. In basketball, she was a 2-year captain and 2 years all conference and for the ISL. In track, she was a 4-year athlete, most valuable athlete for 2 years, all conference 4 years, a member of the school record 800, the 4x2 800 meter relay team, a member of the ISL championship team, an ISL sectional champion, a Moose Heart champion, a state qualifier. I didn't get the pleasure of coaching her in track because I was a distance coach and she was more of a sprint athlete. But her true athletic prowess it was in field hockey. And I remember back then being just so impressed because she, earned a scholarship to Stanford, which was obviously it's an accomplishment back then and it's an accomplishment still. So I was just extremely impressed with her determination and athleticism and obviously academic prowess as well to get into Stanford. But in field hockey, she was a 4-year player, 4-year varsities, MVP 3 of the 4 years, 4-time ISL all conference athlete, a member of the ISL championship team, a ISL player of the year, and IHSA field hockey all-state player, state player of the year. So that's probably why she got on Stanford's radar, and then played at Stanford. And then I do remember, Michelle, the last time I saw you was a while ago. It was after Stanford. You came back to Latin, and I believe you coached the field hockey for 1 year, and that was just such a thrill because you were always just a great kid. I always call all the athletes kids. And it was just such a pleasure to see you come back and give back to the sport at your alma mater. So extremely proud of you, and I'll let you take it from here.
Let me unmute myself here. Thank you, everybody, for this honor. It was quite a surprise. I was really shocked to hear from Stephanie when I was invited to this. But I mean, I guess Latin really set me up for a wonderful hockey career that I had at Stanford, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And my I guess my favorite memories of sports at Latin were obviously with my teammates, Liz Roper and I know Dan Daly probably remembers Liz Roper as well because she did more distance running, but all the times we spent together on track and in our warm-ups, actually running through the zoo rather than actually running the miles we were supposed to be doing. But also my memories, I guess my fondest memory in field hockey was the opportunity to play with my sister, which was great my first year. So it was nice to play varsity with her, be able to pass with her, and just have those memories. And my favorite memories from track were actually the time that I spent with my coaches, actually with Tommy Mowat. I spent a lot of time with him one-on-one as we just traveled the state going to different competitions and everything. And I do, you know, I would want to say that all the coaches that are here tonight, you know, Coach Carroll, who I still call Coach Carroll, Coach Cam Wright, Dan Daly, you know, I remember all my times with you guys and really appreciate all the support that you gave me, you know, in my years of Latin. So thank you.
Wow. Hello, everyone. Following a couple, it's strange to have been at Latin so long that I know every athlete on this screen tonight. So it's really joyful. And Michelle, no doubt, I remember every minute coaching you in middle school basketball because I filled in because they didn't have a coach and I did not know much of anything about basketball. And you were unfortunately I would just be like, Michelle, just get the ball and run and score. And you would do it and you'd be dripping in utter exhaustion by the end of the game. But I want to take credit because maybe those cardio workouts in middle school prepared you for all your running success and field hockey success down the road. So I am here tonight to talk about Courtney Hall. And for those of you who know me, you know I can talk a lot, particularly about volleyball and teams that I coached and especially players that I coach. So I wrote a few things so that I stay within the proper time limit. So first and foremost, I'm so happy to be the coach honoring Courtney Hall as she's inducted into Latin's Athletic Hall of Fame. The athletic department could not have chosen a better representative of the volleyball program. Courtney was not only one of the most skilled and competitive players to ever have played for the Romans, but she was also one of the best leaders. As an athlete, she possessed and utilized her many strengths in different ways at different times. She was strong, she was feisty, competitive, tough, and she was definitely a gamer. She would play point for point with the best players in high school volleyball in the state at the time, whether it was in big matches against teams like Wheaton St. Francis or in her club career playing for one of the elite clubs in the country. Courtney is definitely one of the top 2 or 3 setters in, I've been here a long time, 30, 32, 33, 35 years at Latin. She was really an exceptional setter. But like many of the greatest players that we have at Latin, Courtney truly could have played any position on the court. She had an incredible serve. She was our first server. She'd come out of the gates and she'd get us a lead and everyone could kind of take a breath. She played great defense. She could pass the ball, but she could also swing from the right side when we needed to finish a play or when she just got tired of the play going on and she wanted to finish it, put the team away and get the ball back for us. She balanced her skills and competitive fire with a fun-loving, free spirit that never shied away from sharing her views on the game or my coaching or my game plan. She was easy to laugh with and her California manner could fool her opponents because once she was on the court, she played all City of Big Shoulders. Courtney accumulated many honors during her time at Latin School. She was a 3-time program most valuable player, 3-time all-conference player, 3-time ISL champion and 3-time regional champion. She was 2 times the Independent School League Player of the Year. She was a Latin Athlete of the Year, and she was an all-state selection. In volleyball, to be an all-state selection when you play at a small school like Latin that did not progress past the sectional, that was just really a true tribute to the respect that other coaches gave to Courtney as a player. She played collegiate volleyball at Brown University and Emory University. Courtney's commitment to and love of the game, along with the girls in the program at that time, laid the foundation for Latin's volleyball program today, a program that has had 2 Final Four appearances at the state tournament in the last 5 years. Courtney and her teammates built the foundation and left their mark on Latin's athletic program. On a personal note, I have a deep affection for Courtney and her teammates. Both of my daughters were born during their 4 years of playing high school volleyball for me. Courtney made a memory book after her last season that I kept in my office. My daughters would look at the pictures over and over again. And I don't know if you remember writing this, Courtney, but you all would do woody woo woo. So the girls would walk around shouting that in my office. They would say to me, Mom, I want to play volleyball like the big girls. They did, they still do. And Courtney, thank you not just for being the great player and leader that you were on the court, but also being a role model and a mentor for young girls to follow. I'm so very proud to be able to induct you into Latin's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Oh my gosh, Deb Stampy, I love you so much. Oh my goodness, there's only one Deb Stampy. And Stampy's such a legend. For some context, I have an older sister who played volleyball at Brown, or at Latin, which is how I got into it. And in 8th grade, Deb Stampy gave her the name Sprout. And now she's almost 50 and the whole world still calls her Sprout. And so Stampy's coaching is magical. And I love that you said woody, woody, woo. I got a few woody, woody, woo texts this morning from teammates. And I'm so grateful for my Latin experience. I changed schools a lot growing up. I pretty much went to Latin about every other year. And so for me, volleyball was a constant. It was a place where I could drop in, get grounded, and have experience of myself. Right now, I'm renting my home to the parents of a teammate of mine on the 7th grade Latin team. And I had no idea how much my experience at Latin would frame my life going forward, and the intensity of the leadership experiences, the, getting to figure out who I was as a person and the permission to push yourself 100%. And so much about just being able to practice something every day and go back and get better and receive feedback. I often think about how, volleyball season at Latin is, 2 months or 8 weeks or 3 months at max, and how it affects me so deeply and how much I felt like we got done in 8 weeks. Like now 8 weeks flies by like nothing. And I think like, all right, think as if you were like, in a semester at Latin. I had incredible teammates like Diana Shapansky and Jessica Pope and Liz Ruiz. And I can tell you that I'm, 4 of my best friends in the world are from that team. And I'm so grateful for the coaches' commitment to people having a positive experience. And yeah, I mean, just also want to say I really do miss Tom Bauer right now. I had a small fear of him, throughout high school, or just I felt nervous around him, not for anything that he was doing, but because of, how poignant he is and not wanting to fill up the empty spaces. And I ran into him in the sidewalk in Chicago about a year ago, and I had the same, like my heart dropped. I got all nervous around him. And then he was just, as always, the best. So one last thing is Stampy, she was out my junior year, pregnant with her daughter, Katie. And so Katie was 1 my senior year, and she came, all the photos of the team have pictures of her everywhere. And then the 1 year that I came back to coach at Latin, it was her senior year. And I don't know if you guys know anything about Katie Cronister, but holy bananas, so freaking good. And so it's fun to be in touch with them. And yeah, I'm so grateful for my Latin experience and really humbled to be a part of it here today. And I just want to say about my teammates, we played all year together, since 7th grade. And actually, I played against some of them in college. And yeah, my experience it was because of my relationships with them and how much we pushed each other on and off the court. And yeah, so this is for, that team too. Woody, woody, woo.
Guess what? I'm back. Chrissy Dijon played basketball for 4 years, was an MVP, ISL All-Conference, ISL Player of the Year, State Coaches Association All-State Player. And at graduation, she was Latin's career leader in points scored. She went on to start 4 years at UIC, where she scored over 1,000 points, 2nd in career assists, 3rd in career steals, 5th in free throws made. Congratulations, Chrissy. I have a couple of short stories. I hope to keep them short, but many of you know me. One is that there was one game, she was our go-to player, and there was one game where she actually fouled out. We were trailing Lab. She fouled out. It didn't look good. Lab was excited because they had not beaten us forever. And it's what I believe Alan spoke to, teammates. I remember while Chrissy was on the bench, her teammate Carrie Holtz took the ball from the top of the key, just took it in and laid it in. We beat Lab yet again. But the other story that involves Chrissy, not sitting on the bench, was we were up at Lake Forest, another great rivalry in those years. And we were down a point. And usually, you know, coach calls a timeout and chatters away and nobody, you know, it's really hard, hectic with all the noise going on to understand what the coach is saying. But Coach Levenhagen decided not to call a timeout. He knew that Chrissy was going to be over taking the ball out of bounds right by the coaches. And he just stood up, whispered something in Chrissy's ear. And I believe there wasn't an assistant coach. So as the JV coach, I was sitting on the bench for that. And Coach Levenhagen sat back down. And I asked him what he said. And he simply said that he had told Chrissy she was going to throw the ball in. And of course, it was going to come back to her. And he invited her not to give it away to anybody else and take it in, which she did. And we won another great game against Lake Forest. Sometimes not calling a timeout is the best way to go. My final story on Chrissy is then in August, after she graduated, I remembered that I thought she was all set to go to a small school in Ohio, which I think Ryan Allen, who may be here, had something to do with. And I thought she's going to go over there and rewrite the record book and it's going to be great. But I understood she wanted to stay in Chicago and she was hoping to get on at UIC. But the Division I schools, even today, they have these unwritten height rules for both men and women. And so she didn't get a lot of looks by the scouts because of her height. But all of a sudden in August, Coach Levenhagen wasn't available. And I get this strange phone call. There's all this noise in the background. Her coach at UIC is getting on a plane. It's about ready to take off. So she's going to turn off her mobile. But she wants me to know that Chrissy has a uniform waiting for her at UIC. And at the time, I thought that's a little rude that she's calling me while I'm on a plane. I can barely understand what she's talking about. Turns out I was wrong. Chrissy didn't need to go to Ohio to rewrite that record book. She went to UIC. Chrissy can correct me, but I believe she was on the bench and the point guard got hurt in December. Chrissy went into the game and did not come out until she graduated, which is, I always think of Lou Gehrig. The guy's name was Wally Pipp, and he took a day off and Lou Gehrig went in and set a record for most consecutive games played. Congratulations, Chrissy. I'll shut up now.
Hi, can you hear me?
We got you, Chrissy. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Canwright. Yeah, that is actually pretty good description of how I ended up at UIC. I didn't actually know that she called you and you talked to her prior to me getting there. So yeah, that's kind of a good, cool story. I guess I'll start with what athletics has meant to me. I guess in general, it's meant a lot, right? It's allowed me a great education and to travel and to a lot of the friendships I've made over the years. My best friends are my teammates. A lot of the disciplines that I've learned through athletics, I still carry with me today, and it's really guided me through my life. And I guess of all of the programs that I've had the privilege to play for, I value my time at Latin the most. There was a very strong sense of community there. You know, my teammates, obviously, the teachers, the administration, parents, the amount of support that we received was really unmatched. And I'm just forever grateful for my time at Latin. And to round out Mr. Canwright's story, my favorite basketball memory at Latin is actually that time that I fouled out and Carrie made a layup and Sarah Grill, I think, hit some free throws to seal the game. And it was just, I thought it was very fitting that, you know, my teammates got a moment to really show that, you know, it was all of us. It was a team effort throughout all those years. And I just thought it was a great way to kind of have my senior year and my year. So yeah, I'm really, you know, humbled for this honor, and I really value, you know, forever grateful for my time at Latin. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Vandermeulen, Upper School, Middle School Athletic Director at Latin. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome 2003 graduate Mike to the Latin Athletics Hall of Fame today. It was my honor to be Mike's basketball coach from 1999 to 2003, and I'm thrilled today to be here to speak about his extraordinary exploits on the basketball court. Like Deb, I had to write some things down because I do like the sound of my own voice, and I was afraid I would get off task a little bit. So I do have some notes. Mike's accomplishments. They included being named the 2003 Male Senior Athlete of the Year for Latin. His basketball accomplishments included being a 4-year varsity player, 4-time ISL All-Conference Award winner, 2-time ISL Player of the Year, 2-time Illinois Basketball Coaches Association All-State recipient, including being unanimous first team All-State recipient as a senior. He was a Chicago Sun-Times All-City player, again, regardless of school size, which is a considerable feat in Chicago for a small school athlete to make that list. He was a McDonald's High School All-American Game nominee. Again, another unbelievable recognition. He's Latin's all-time career leader in points, member of ISL and regional championship teams. My opinion, Mike was the best basketball player on the best basketball team in my 27 years at Latin. That 2002-2003 team went 27-3, 12-0 in the ISL as undefeated champs. Had significant wins against perennial Chicago area powerhouses like De La Salle, St. Rita, who had 3 Division I players that year, Gordon Tech, Fenger High School, who had 2 7-footers during that year. We beat Proviso West at their place in their Thanksgiving tournament, and Rich East as well to win that Thanksgiving tournament. And that team was actually ranked as high as number 10 in the Chicago area, regardless of school size, which again is another tremendous feat. Mike happened to be the captain of that team as well. Outside of basketball, Mike also played 1 year of varsity volleyball at Latin. Mike was without question the most sought after boys basketball player at Latin in the last 27 years, ultimately deciding to attend Princeton University to continue both his basketball and academic pursuits. It's quite obvious Mike has the credentials to be honored and inducted tonight into the Athletic Hall of Fame. However, I'll tell you, as Mike's basketball coach, I was most impressed with his work ethic and his relentless determination to be great. In my mind, his greatest accomplishment as an athlete at Latin, and I feel blessed because I was the coach that got to continue coaching basketball players at Latin after Mike left, was that he raised the standard of commitment to excellence for all the players that followed him. And that was definitely felt in the years following Mike's career at Latin. I'm forever grateful to have been a part of Mike's success and congratulate him heartily on the induction tonight. And it's just, again, absolutely well-deserved. His impact on our program was immense. Stories, remember having colleges like Michigan and USC and Stanford in our gym to watch him play, was something that hasn't been experienced again at Latin, even though we've had some Division I players, but not at that stature. So congratulations, Mike. And I think he has a few words to share at this point now.
Thank you, Coach V. I haven't seen you in so long, and it's very fun to see you here. I will catch up with you after this. No, but very, very humbled, and thank you for letting me be here and speak. Latin meant a lot to me as a student, as an athlete. Coach V was by far the best coach that I've ever had. Incredibly supportive of me on and off the court, discipline, something that I have taken with me throughout my life. Latin school in general, an amazing place to have gone to school, both because of the athletics, but also because of the academics, and it set me up for a college career afterwards. But it was also a place where I got to meet some of my best friends who, to this day I speak to. One story that I recall from my time at Latin, so many stories, but this one kind of is maybe less about basketball. It was sophomore year. It was Parker game night at Latin. The entire arena was full, obviously. Just started dating a girl who went to Parker. 2 minute, sold out arena. She had to sit underneath the hoop. And Coach Vanderbilt had my best friend, Jordan Gilman, film the game. And I stole the ball Have never dunked in my life. Wasn't really my thing. It was more of a shooter, passer, you know, that type of thing. And went in for the dunk, sort of landed in front of my girlfriend, winked at her, saw my grandma, pointed at her, and 30 people came to my house later that night to see the dunk on camera that Jordan Gilman was supposed to get. We turn on the camera, the popcorn's there, and Jordan got so excited with the camera pointing down. The memory that I've always wanted to see, never again. All you could hear was the crowd. But nonetheless, I remember it. Coach V, I'm sure you remember it too. But anyhow, thank you so much for all the support that you've given me, and congrats to everyone else here tonight.
That's a great story. So I have the honor next to induct Julia Buford, and I've been around long enough that when we had, in the early 90s, we did not have a girls cross country team. In the late 90s, we developed a girls cross country team. And then Julia comes along in about 2006 as a freshman phenom, and just explodes and sets all the bar high and all the records at Latin. And she just excelled throughout her 4-year career in both track and cross country, including her cross country record. She was a 4-year athlete, or 4-year MVP, school record holder for cross country at the time, 3-time ISL regional champion, 2-time IHSA sectional champion, 4-year. She's the first of our many now 4-year state qualifiers, and 2-time all-stater at which is quite an accomplishment, and 7th place her senior year at state, which at that point in time was our highest finish ever. So just an outstanding cross country career, and in track was just equally as impressive. Again, 4-year varsity, 3-time ISL champion in the mile, 1-time champion ISL champion in the 2-mile, 3-time sectional champion in the mile, 1-time sectional champion in the 2-mile, was the one school record holder at the time in the 1-mile and the 2-mile, finished as the state runner-up in the 2-mile in one of the most exciting finishes, and just scared the bejeebuses out of the first place girl, because Julia comes charging down the last 100 meters, and it's the closest to a victory that I've ever seen, but super fun to be a part of it at the state meet to watch her. And 2-time state, 2-time all state in the mile. And let's see, then she took all of that, and she was our first ever from Latin cross country athlete who went on to Division I. She went on to Northwestern, and was a 3-year academic all Big Ten, excuse me, and a 1-time Big Ten Distinguished Scholar honoree. So she took her love and her passion for running and cross country and took it to the collegiate level and set the bar high for our current girls. She was obviously the first all-stater. Now we've had about 5 all-staters. She was our first Division I athlete. We currently have 3 right now on our current team that'll probably go D1. And one of the greatest things I remember about Julia was that even as a freshman, she was just easy to coach, collaborative, calm, mature. And during her tenure at Latin, we went from class 1A to class 2A. And I believe it was the senior year, we got bumped up to 2A, and we were at the sectional course, and we were, doing a walkthrough, looking at it, and kind of said, okay, Julia, this is where everyone's going to make their move. There were 2 90-degree turns in the last 200 meters. I said, everyone's going to make their move here. You got to make your move here. And she did it. And she came out of that last turn with a 10-meter lead, never gave it up. And she won sectionals for the first time ever. And just couldn't have been more proud of her then. And I'm still proud of her now. She also, by the way, in the last Olympic trials, she was a qualifier, and she ran in the Olympic trials in the marathon distance. So she's taken that love and passion for running and has continued with it. So Julia, take it away from here.
We can't hear you, Julia. Are you muted?
Okay, I think it's working now. Okay, thank you so much for this honor. It was so exciting to hear from Stephanie, and really exciting to see everyone's faces now who I haven't seen in so long. Yeah, the athletics experience at Latin was so unique in that it was so much fun and it was for everyone. I made so many of my friends that I still spend so much time with today, through cross country and track. And the amazing thing about it was that you could come to athletics for whatever you wanted to get out of it. A lot of people did it just to have fun after school, something to get better at, and it could turn into something that you wanted to work out on for life. So a whole range of what you could do at Latin athletics. Yeah, absolutely the highlight of my day every day was going to practice. And having a coach like Daly, he's the best coach I've ever had. And his goal for all of us, he always says, was to make running fun so that we'd want to do it for life. And he absolutely succeeded at that. I have become competitive in it, but I never ever want to take away the fun aspect of running that Daly instilled in all of us. And yeah, it's been great. He taught us to approach it that way, so that I've never gotten tired of it. And it's been just such a great experience that all started at Latin.
I see I'm on the screen again, and I know what you're thinking. The guy who talks the longest has been asked to present 3 times. But I do represent an important part of athletics. I'm a huge fan. And of course, I've been at Latin for 36 years now. But I think during the pandemic, as we watched football, basketball, all of the events, college and pro, without fans, and they look like a 4 o'clock ISL game after school, it's different. And I think one of the things that makes it fun for the athletes and to have memories like this are a few fans like me that aren't your parents that actually enjoy watching you perform and still remember some of these things today. But right now, I'm here to talk about Coach Tom Nystrom. And probably the best decision he ever made was in 1985. He hired me as a boys and girls middle school basketball coach. We had a season where you could do both squads, and I worked with Tom Bauer for 4 years coaching middle school basketball before moving to the upper school program. And then in my second year at Latin, Tom Nystrom hired me to coach varsity girls tennis, which I enjoyed doing for 8 years. So congratulations to Tom Nystrom for hiring me after I had already been brought on to the math department. But really, we're here to talk about Tom. He was the soccer coach. He coaches boys tennis, boys water polo. He's most remembered for from 1979 to 2004. He was an AAU All-American water polo player. I don't think he got to play high school water polo because I think Tom Nystrom, along with a few others, brought water polo to the Midwest. And of course, when I got to Latin, I saw the banners on the wall about the water polo novice division, which water polo originally was not an IHSA sport. And so they had a novice division. And so Latin came in 1981 and took over the novice division, was second 4 times and first in the state twice, and then, you know, had to get bumped up like they do in soccer to the open division. And then, of course, largely because of Coach Nystrom, eventually became an IHSA sport some years later. In the IHSA and when it was another organization, state finishes 8th place in 89, 6th place in 1990, 4th place in 91, 2nd place in 92. And that's the team we're honoring tonight. And I was at that game as a fan. In 2001 and 2002, that's when water polo became an IHSA sport, and Latin consistently ranked among the top 10 in the state. And then in 2003 and 4, They finished third by beating New Trier. And I believe there was one other year when Latin went to the final game. Maybe they had gone to the final game and then went to a third place game. But at any rate, I was at that game out at Stevenson. I think the game for the team we're honoring tonight was at York High School. And what I remember in the early years was that Latin didn't send many swimmers to the state meet. I think Latin does now, largely because of Celeste and Danielle. But at that time, we had a swim program. We were good among our level. We hosted the independent school swim meet for teams that didn't have conferences, but we didn't send many to the state meet. And I remember the year we went to that final game in water polo, Fenwick and New Trier had dominated the state meet about 2 months earlier. And I don't know, somebody might have been at that meet, but they had state champions playing water polo for them. And I think what it says is that a team is greater than the sum of its parts. And Tom Nystrom and his assistant, Rich Norman, who's here tonight, take a lot of credit for putting that team together. And again, I enjoyed watching them. I still don't know the first thing about water polo, particularly what goes on under the surface, but I enjoyed watching those games. And lastly, I also got to work with Tom in the sports camp for 5 or 6 summers, and I watched him teach swimming. And just as I teach mathematics, I don't think anybody can teach somebody how to swim better than Tom Nystrom. I got to see it firsthand at the sports camp for several years. Congratulations, Tom Nystrom. I'm signing off now.
Hello.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, thanks, Tom. I appreciate all those fine words you just said. I think number one, I'd like to thank all the players that I had. The coach is only as good as the players that he has on his team. And also a thank you to the administration, because they were very supportive of our program from day one. And there's so many players that we developed in our program. I think that's one of the highlights of my career at Latin, is that we had students and swimmers and athletes that had never participated in water polo. And to reach the success level that they did in the short period of time that they played is a real testament to their abilities as an athlete, and also their ability to handle the class load that Latin required. I want to thank all the athletes who played water polo. I think that they had as much fun playing the game as I had teaching it, and want to thank everybody and hope to hear from them shortly. Thank you.
Good evening, Romans. My name is Danielle Carlson. I'm the Director of Aquatics, and tonight I have the distinct honor of helping to welcome the 1991-1992 men's water polo team into Latin's Hall of Fame. The team is comprised of members Alan Ferguson, class of 1994. And if each athlete could unmute themselves and say hello really quick so all your fans can see you, that would be great. Okay. Clark Freeman, class of 1995.
Hello, everyone.
Ryan Green, class of 1995.
Hello.
Judd
Noah.
Horn, class of 1992.
You're still on.
Hello.
Noah Isaacson, class of 1992.
Evening, everybody.
John Manthe, class of 1992.
Oh.
Asa Piaka, class of 1994.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Alex Riley, class of 1993. Ellis Rosenzweig, class of 1992.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Coach.
Dan Schlade, class of 1992.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Coach.
Matt Shabbat, class of 1993.
Hey, go Romans, beat Fenwick.
Steve Shermer, class of 1993.
Good to see everyone. Hello.
Howard Scott Silverman, class of 1993.
Hey.
Zach Spreitzer, class of 1995.
Thanks, Danielle. Hi, everyone.
John Stassen, class of 1992.
Hello, Romans. Congrats, Coach.
Assistant coach Rich Norman.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Danielle.
And head coach Tom Nystrom. All right, led by co-captains John Stassen and Noah Isaacson, the team had a regular season record of 24-3. From the beginning, it quickly became clear that very few teams could even challenge the Romans. The Romans frequently won games against much bigger schools with scores like 21-2 against Mount Carmel, 20-4 against Lions, and 21-1 against York. During these games, Roman players frequently scored 6 to 8 goals apiece, with players who went on major scoring campaigns being called one-man wrecking crews. The team even crossed state lines looking for additional challenges with a spring break trip to Florida. The Romans were able to go 5-0 against teams from Orlando and Miami, easily winning the Ransom Everglades tournament. In championship play, the Romans advanced through the first 4 rounds of state competition, beating Evanston, St. Pat's, Oak Park in overtime, which brought them to the final against Fenwick. Latin entered the state championship game with a record of 29-3, all 3 previous losses to Fenwick and their star player, Brian Pendergast. After a close game, this final score, I know, I heard I would get that reaction. After a close game, the final score of 17-8 had the Romans second in state, but first in the heart of fans. Along with a second place state finish, the best the school has ever done, 5 team members were named to the all-state team. John Stassen, Noah Isaacson, and Dan Schlade made first team. John Manthe made second team, and Ellis Rosenzweig was on the honorable mention team. In addition, John Stassen also won Academic Senior Scholastic Water Polo Award at the All-State Banquet. While each player on the team brought incredible athletic talent, the coaching staff of Tom Nystrom and Rich Norman deserve immense praise for helping to shape the team into the powerhouse they became. Both coaches were Illinois Water Polo Hall of Fame members, and Tom Nystrom, who you just heard about, won Coach of the Year for his accomplishments during the 1991-1992 season. Between the two coaches, they brought a combined 60 years of water polo knowledge and playing to the team each practice, and they also brought dedication, discipline, a wealth of experience, and a deep love of the game. Now I'd like to turn it over to Noah Isaacson, Dan Schlade, and John Stassen, who are going to speak on behalf of the team.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. It means a lot to us that Latin and the Latin community are recognizing our season, and it was really a highlight of our time at Latin. That goes beyond sports. Our team was and is a family. It's really unbelievable to see some of these faces, and we just we're so delighted to be here. I'm here to say, as you said, just a few words on behalf of the team, and then I'm going to hand off to the stars of the show. That'll be Dan Schlade and John Stassen. First off, we want to thank the school and especially the athletic department for being so supportive of our team. Long ago, when many folks thought water polo was a game played with horses in the water, Latin allowed Tom Nystrom to form a traveling team comprised of lower and middle schoolers. That was us. Nothing of the sort existed at the time. And the school gave Nystrom the okay. And then after that, when we moved down to the upper school, Latin and athletic director, Tom Bauer, who we're so glad to see here tonight, gave us the resources and the support that we needed. And we want to say a special thank you to Tom Bauer. Also, we as a team, we want to thank our parents, many of whom are with us virtually tonight, although we can't exactly see you, I don't think. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that most of our parents had zero clue what water polo was when we started playing in lower and middle school. But they trusted the school, and they trusted Tom Nystrom and Rich Norman a lot. And our parents sacrificed untold hours getting us to and from practice and doing what parents do. And then of course they kept the refrigerator full when we were grown boys and training hard and eating like 5 to 9 meals a day. Side note, I think the best eater on the team was Alice Rosenzweig. So, okay, so before I hand off to Dan and John Stassen, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about something Danielle touched on in her remarks, and that is how on earth a small school like Latin competed against such big schools with players who were bigger, faster, and stronger. And I think like when you understand just how overmatched we were to a certain extent, and I know Rich and Tom, if I could see you, you're laughing right now, because Rich and Tom used to look at the pool and say, I remember Rich would say it all the time, he would say, you know, Tommy, can you imagine what we could do if we had swimmers like that? But they did not. We really couldn't swim. And so that was our team's Achilles heel, from lower school all the way to the state championship game. Here's one way to think about it. One of the best ways to gauge a swimmer is the 100-yard freestyle. And I wish I could see Tom and Rich laughing right now. At our best, absolute best, the average for our team, this is our whole team, was probably about a minute and change. And on the other side, our biggest rivals, teams like Fenwick and Oak Park and St. Pat's and Loyola, and especially Fenwick, they had some of the fastest swimmers in the state. And so their 100 time was about 50 seconds. Their average 100 time was about 50 seconds, maybe 10 seconds faster than our average. Some rivals, even faster. They could swim a 100, jump out of the pool, towel off, and probably change before we finished the race. Dum-dum. And then, of course, another challenge for the team was that we didn't have a huge team. Other players would sub in waves, 6, 7 guys. We could not do that. And in fact, another memory I think a lot of guys on the team have is when an opponent would sub in like 5 or 6 guys, Rich would yell to us, "Okay, here they come." And we'd sort of look up and go, "Oh man, here we go again." It was a reminder that we could not let down, no matter how tired we were. And I guess to finish, before I hand over to John or to Dan and John, the question is how on earth did these Latin guys compete? And the answer was teamwork and fundamentals, and most of all, our coaches. And Rich and Tom taught us that we could beat anyone if we outworked them. And they taught us that if we worked hard and learned to play together, we could be great. And this didn't happen overnight. It took years. And Rich and Tom coached us year round. This is long before full-time coaches for youth sports existed, and Rich and Tom were just selfless. Even when we were just a bunch of silly little lower and middle schoolers, Rich and Tom took us seriously, and they believed in us, and then we believed in them and just kept showing up at practice, and the rest was kind of history. And they also made it a lot of fun. And with that, I'm going to hand off to Dan and John, who just have a little more to say about Rich and Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, Noah. I hope everyone can hear me. This is a trip. This is so cool. This is awesome seeing everyone out here. And just side note, thank you, Latin, so much for getting this together. Technically speaking, it's amazing, but I do sincerely hope we can get together, in 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 months, and we can all toast some beers and celebrate this together. Noah's talked a lot about what, water polo meant to us as a team. And I can say personally, it was an indelible part of my life. I haven't played a real game since that state finals against Fenwick. That was 29 years ago. And to this day, I can walk into a pool or I can smell certain brands of chlorine and it provokes a reaction. I get butterflies, I get nervous, I get my pregame jitters. And the fact that a sport could have an impact like that, going on 30 years later, that's nothing short of fantastic. And ultimately, I have to believe that's a testament to the guys I played with and the coaches. So I'd like to start with the coaches. I can't thank Coach Nystrom and Rich Norman enough. He was never Coach Norman. He was always just Rich. First, Coach Nystrom, I just have to thank you for recruiting me. And I have no idea why you did. I've thought about this the last couple weeks since this has come up. I think it was because I was tall and I sucked at basketball, and you figured I could take up some real estate in the goalie net. And I think about how we built from that, and it amazes me. I mean, you took a core group of guys and you held us together for, I think, 6, 7, some of us 8 years. I mean, literally thousands of days that you kept this group together. You molded us from the ground up. And then you took us to the state finals in '92. It's an amazing accomplishment. And I think I and we as a whole team owe him a huge debt. And then there's Rich. I have to give Rich Norman a special thanks. And to be clear, I'm not choosing favorites, but I was the goalie on the team, and goalie was Rich's thing. And throughout my life, I've had a lot of coaches. My sons are now playing sports. They've had a lot of coaches. I can say Rich is one of the best, probably the best coach I've ever had. I think great coaches, there's no one size fits all. There's no magic drill. There's no secret formula. The Hollywood halftime speeches, they don't really work in real life. The great coaches, they have to coach each player and they have to learn each player. And Rich, he learned me. He knew how to push me. He knew when to let up. One of my things, I did not react well to compliments. And Rich learned that if he ever paid me a compliment, I was going to just screw up horribly. I was joking with my wife earlier today. If there was a camera, it'd all be on TikTok or YouTube or some stupid crap like that. And thank God we don't have social media now. But Rich, he learned me and he learned how to coach me well. Now, one of the things I was talking about with my wife is, she said, hey, maybe Rich was just cruel. Maybe he wasn't that astute of a coach. And I can assure you that wasn't the case, because this ties into one of my favorite memories. And it goes back to that last game in 1992 against Fenwick. As everyone has said over and over, Fenwick was the #1 team of the state. They had hands down the best swimmers in the state, and their #1 player was Brian Pendergast. And in the game, I had a nice block against Pendergast, but unfortunately, the game, it did not end up the way that we had hoped it would have ended up. So after the game, I'm walking out of the facility. My shoulders are slumped over. I'm dejected. There might have been a tear or two. And Rich Norman, he came up from behind me and he put his arm around me and he said, hey, you blocked the Pendergast 4-meter shot in the state finals. They can never take that away from you. And it's 29 years now, and I'm never going to forget that. That's a memory I'm going to have for the rest of my life. So I personally, and we as a team, I think we also owe Rich Norman a huge debt of gratitude for all the time and all the hours he put in. Lastly, of course, I got to pay tribute to the team itself, all these guys. In getting the speech together, Noah, he sort of gave us an assignment, like he was, we were back in English class or something, and he asked us to think about some of our favorite quotes, and he asked us to contemplate, why did we have such a great run in 1992? And it's something I'd never thought about till the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I think I can sort of, 2 birds, 1 stone this one. My hands down favorite quote from Rich, it's a quote that he yelled at me repeatedly over and over every time I screwed up. It's only 3 words. Don't think, react. I think those 3 words, I think they boil down everything that we accomplished in those 7 years. And they really boil down what makes sports so great. You put in the time, you put in the work, and it becomes second nature. You communicate without speaking. You become a well-oiled machine. I think that's why we had such a great run back in '92. It was just time, it was teamwork, and it was 7 years. It was a culmination of 7 years with some really great guys and some really great coaches. So again, I want to thank the guys. I want to thank the team. I want to thank Latin. I want to thank the coaches. And again, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my mom. Hi, Mom. And all the parents who came out and drove us to practices and games over and over. Thank you, everyone. It was an honor. It was a privilege. And I'm going to toss us now to John Stassen, and he's going to take us home.
All right. Thanks, Dan. I just want to piggyback on something Dan touched on there. We chose Noah to be our spokesman for this. And then he asked us to send him some thoughts. And then Noah said to Schley to me, hey, I like what you said. Maybe you should read it. So it's 30 years later and Noah's still tricking us into doing things. So some things don't change. I also want to say thanks to Mr. Camwright. Good to see you. You coached me. You coached me 7th grade basketball. You taught me algebra. And I also want to say hello to Coach Bauer. It's really good to see you. A lot of us played soccer in the fall, and you were also really important to our development as athletes. So it's hard to overstate how important being on this team was to me and my development as a person. It's affected how I approach myself as a teacher, as a parent, as a person facing life's challenges. I'm forever grateful to Coach Nystrom and Rich for the thousands of hours they spent with us over the years. Swimming is still a huge source of peace and joy for me. And I owe Nystrom and Rich a great deal of thanks for that too. Favorite memory of Nystrom, Coach Nystrom, when I really just think of being on the bus to away games with him. He really enjoyed being with the team and seeing us interact with one another. And I remember him telling me on the bus one time, as we were going off to maybe Lions or some place, that these were the memories that were most important and would stick with us, not studying for some test or getting a good grade. And he was right. And that has been something that stuck with me. And then I just remember Rich calling us automatons and telling us to not shoot precipitously. I remember Noah losing to Rich. I named that tune in Rich's Ford Taurus, and him chewing us out or chewing out a ref. And then Rich and Nystrom calling us a bunch of cake eaters. So I don't really have an anecdote to sum it all up. All of our joking aside, being on this team made me super proud. From the coaches down to all the 9th graders on the JV bench, we were all a team. It felt like family to me. And I remember the last practice of '92, my last practice ever, and us seniors being really melancholy about it. We didn't want it to end. And I know a lot of the guys here being honored also with us had a couple years of high school left, but I hope that they felt close to the same way too. So thank you to the Latin community. It is an honor to be included with such great athletes, so thank you.
Thank you everyone for those amazing stories, and just congratulations to our inductees and the presenters. Thank you for all your kind words. We do have a very short video to share with you, kind of sums up this entire group, this class, this amazing class, so enjoy. Congratulations again, guys, on an amazing journey here, and to this congratulating class. I'm going to pass it on now back to Stephanie, I believe.
Thanks so much, everybody. It's so great to have had this time to celebrate with you. Thank you so much for joining us for this great trip through some fantastic Latin athletics history. Congrats to all our inductees, and thank you to everybody who joined us for this evening. We're really looking forward to getting as many of these athletes back on campus as soon as it's safe to do so. We're hoping for this fall to invite you all back and get you in front of a cheering crowd. But just know there are lots of people cheering for you from afar at the moment. Also, Michelle is putting in the chat a link. The water polo team is having an after party on Zoom, and anyone's welcome to jump on to that call as well. You can cut and paste the link from the chat here and join us. The call is already open. Take good care, everybody. Hey, Brian Green, can you stay on this call with me for a second? I missed getting a picture of you. I think I got everybody else. So thanks, everyone. Go Romans. We look forward to seeing you really soon on campus. Take good care, everybody. Good night.